Alrighty guys, before we start the video, I just want to say I'm sorry for the audio quality in this video. Okay, I was having trouble with my recording software. I went and got my headset mic instead because I was getting so frustrated. I'm probably going to need a new microphone, but trust me guys, in the future I'll try to make sure that the audio quality doesn't sound like a video I made 15 years ago. But that's what we're stuck with this time. But hopefully you guys enjoy the video regardless. Alrighty, yo, what is up, Knights? Just Rick here, back with some more DFO charge, this time on my female Crusader. Now guys, as you guys can see with the length of this video, it's going to be a pretty long one, but that's because I'm showcasing some party content, which I usually don't do in this series, but I kind of have to because we're playing a female Crusader. Now before we do that though, I want to do at least one run to showcase what this character is like when playing solo. I did the same thing for both of the other Satyrs, the Enchantress. This was my male Satyr, so I do want to showcase the ability that this character has, and I gotta say, well, this character is a little bit overgeared for most of the time, but I gotta say, I think I like her, you know, her normal solo capacity very well. I think she has a pretty nice kit for it. You guys can see right there, Uriel's Ward, just an amazing skill for AoE. I'm getting kind of, you know, quite a bit of help here from my armor set right here. But she has, you know, a nice suite of skills. I also think she's also very fast. You know, she has things that are very, you know, low aftercast delay. You know, you kind of just get the attack off right away, just tossing up the skill. Usually you see the Valiant Aria right here used for buffing capacity. Here you can actually use it for a little bit of AoE damage, and during the casting time of that, you guys can actually see we can cast other skills like the Archangel's Blessing, which is something that you know, I like using to explode it. But you see I charge it up right there, I have it charged up right now, and then whenever I get near a guy I can just explode it for some really awesome humongous burst damage. Uriel's Ward again, AoE damage, pretty nice skill. Get a pretty good grouping skill right there with the Repentance Hammer. Get a decent AoE with that one. I mean, she has some pretty nice clearing skills right here. I mean, you know, this is not something to really sneeze at. Even the Miracle Shine right here is going to take care of all of those guys in a row because it kind of links onto enemies as well as your party, which we will obviously showcase when we get into party content, but it kind of links together. So even, you know, I remember doing some hells on this character, and this character had no problems doing hells. One of the best characters, most fun characters to do hells with, because she had such a very unique set of skills that can just wipe out entire rooms like easily. Didn't right there, Repentance Smash right there, Uriel. I've already showcased, you know, the main things that I'm using here, but kind of played my hand there. But even that right there is pretty nice. So 3-hit combo there. You know, this is where I'd use the Valiant Aria, and you see the AoE is pretty nice. So should have charged up my Archangels, but I forgot. You don't charge it up during Valiant Aria, you have to sit there and watch the animation. But even that, you know, even that has the little AoE that provides is enough to room clear rooms sometimes. Again, the reason why I'm doing this kind of content, I've explained this many times already in my DFO charge video. I know this is easier content than you probably want to see. You want to see me doing harder content. We'll get to that when we do the party content. But the reason I'm doing it is because I have been on all of my main characters who are trying to get amplified gear. And one thing I'm going to explain several times probably in this video is that gear on this character is probably the most important character on my account to gear up, even more so than my EK, because the effectiveness of the effort that I put into this character is so much more realized on this character than any other character possible in this game. And that's because of how useful and important this character is in terms of the benefits she provides to the entire party. Satyrs in general, you know, this is not exclusive only to the female Satyr. All Satyrs kind of benefit off of this. When you get high stats, when you invest into your characters, when you invest into your amps, your enchantments, getting, you know, upgrading your gears, getting your swap titles, everything, okay? When you do that, talisman is a big one now. You know, you can see it does give me more strength and int for the talismans that I have. 4% more for each talisman. When you stack all of these onto each other, you're going to see just how important Satyrs are. And you can only really see it, you know, I'm going to be showcasing my Satyr, which I think is pretty decent. You only really see that in truth when you party with a Satyr that only has like 5,000 int or something. You're going to just see the difference, and it's night and day. So guys, let's go ahead and jump into the party content. Stop with this solo content. I did want to showcase she can do it. I think she's really useful at doing it. I have no problem playing her in solo content. But where she really shines is when she turns on all of her buffs, gets all the healing ready to go, and basically carries the party to victory. Let's go ahead and cut to that. Alrighty guys, we find ourselves in a party now. This is the more preferred method to play the female satyr. You will find yourself in situations where you're not going to be in a party. But let's be honest guys, satyrs get into parties so easily because they are so necessary in the end game. All of the content kind of revolves around them. You guys can see pretty much every party is going to need to have at least a buffer type character, female or male Crusader, as well as the Enchantress, and they get into parties no matter what. I mean, some of the most undergeared people get into parties just because of how scarce they are and how necessary they are for the content. I mean, need satyrs, guys. Play a satyr. But here's the thing, okay, and I want to say this because I saw this, kind of mentality with some people, is that a lot of people look at the satyr role and they say, oh, it's an easy character to get into raids. I can undergear myself and people are going to take me anyway and all of that. But here, let me just tell you guys my opinion on satyrs, and that is they are the single most important member of this party. I know that's kind of putting myself on a pedestal here, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm so much more better and more important than these guys here in the party. But I'm trying to say that to really be an effective satyr, you really need to recognize your importance in the party, okay? Your importance in terms of your gear and in terms of your knowledge of the content that you do needs to be on a level that is probably highest among your party, okay? I mean, I'm to the belief that a geared satyr who knows what they're doing in the raid can completely and utterly carry a party in a raid who is undergeared or doesn't know what's going on. As long as they have the gear to back it up as well as the knowledge to back it up. So guys, we're going to be starting off into Pand War. I haven't shown off any content in the Pand War. This is not technically a raid, but the reason we do this is for the talisman system. So that's why everybody's doing it, and they're bringing their hardest characters or strongest characters to it, and we are doing hard mode. So it's pretty much the hardest content that the game has to offer right now, which is obviously kind of cool, that we can flex our prey muscles a little bit. Some people are full prey geared already, but the strategy usually is, guys, that the satyr is going to crux on every boss and mini boss. So I'm going to go ahead and crux and get manual resets if I need to, just to try to bring these guys down as fast as possible. But like I was saying, guys, I want to give that little warning at the start about the what is expected out of satyrs, okay? Don't play a satyr just because they can get into raids easily and because they're throwaway characters and everybody needs to take them no matter what, okay? You need to take, I'd say the only people that should be playing satyrs are the ones who can realize their importance in the party and can take them very seriously. In terms of gearing, like I said, I think they need to be one of the most geared people in the party to ensure that you're going to have smooth runs. I mean, your stat points, your gear, the money that you spend in there are so much more valuable than the same amount of gear on a other character, just because of how good the stats are. So don't take this character as just a throwaway, oh, easy raid character. Take it seriously, learn all of the gimmicks, and try to gear out your character, because it's going to make all of your parties a lot easier in the long run. Thought I could iframe that. I guess you can't. Anyway, guys. Female Crusader, I've shown off male Crusader in my opinion on him. Let's talk about the actual character now, instead of getting off my soapbox real quick. I've shown off a male satyr before, and he is a character who I felt like is like, playing a Naruto character who goes through all of his motions and hand signals and stuff like that just to try to get off even a little bit of buff potential optimization. Okay, this character is pretty much the exact opposite in that she does hardly anything and still gets comparable buffs. Now, I will mention this, okay, she's not as complicated to play. In fact, I'd call her the easiest of all the satyrs to play. But at the same time, her buffs are not as strong as some of the other satyrs. So, male satyr in particular, they're not as strong. So, unfortunately, you get rewarded for a little bit more on male satyr. You get rewarded in terms of stronger buffs, but at the same time, you don't have as much to manage, so it's a lot easier to play. On top of that, you also have a pretty abusive, it's not as abusive as Enchantress, but you have a very abusive resurrection buff, which hopefully I won't have to use, but essentially every life I get a chance to AoE resurrect everybody in vicinity. If I get the talisman, I can actually AoE resurrect everybody on the map. 1 life. So essentially you can always treat your life as 2 lives every time you resurrect, because you can bring somebody else back to life, just die and just have a life on reserve like that. So you know, it's something that, you know, I think it's probably one of the most important things about the character is that she has a ability to resurrect if she so chooses, or if she so can, and you really should abuse that feature. Now, not really going through the gimmicks of this fight, but I've been through this so many times I can kind of do a full commentary and not have to think about it very much. But we go left, right on this one. Whoever gets a mark has to stand on a location. So, not much you really have to think about with this character. I mean, you just heal. Oh gosh, here's the resurrection. Just need to resurrect, get the damage buff back up. Good to go. So like I said, the resurrection buff is really useful. It's not as abusive as Enchantress, because she has the ability to resurrect multiple times in one life, and she doesn't have to kill herself just to get another resurrection. But odds are you're gonna, you know, you don't need to resurrect constantly. If you're doing that, you're probably not ready to do the content because your party's like doesn't know what's going on, so they keep dying. But most of the time, you just need that one resurrection. Somebody dies on the side or somebody gets nuked. You can AoE resurrect and then kill yourself after using Crux, and, you know, always have a resurrection available. I think it's really nice. Much better than the male Satyr who has to cast, you know, resurrection buffs on you preemptively, which is not as, oh shit, I forgot. Which is not as useful as trying to do those, you know, just using them on reaction when somebody dies. So anyway, I'm doing two things that are basically Satyr-centric, or female Satyr-centric. One of them is obviously using the Crux, but then most of the time what you're going to see when I use the Crux is casting my Valiant Aria, which is essentially making the standard buff that I have. This one right here is the Valiant Aria. It makes my Valor Blessing a little bit stronger. Essentially just means I get a damage buff. If you look at your attack, physical attack, when I have the Valiant Aria versus when I don't, there's actually a pretty sizable difference. So keep that in mind, you know, that you definitely want to be doing some burst whenever you see the Valiant Aria up. And most of the time I'm only going to be casting it when I have my Awakening casted. So it's something that, you know, you're just going to see me do constantly whenever I'm expecting the party to do some damage. So again, yet another thing where you have to kind of be knowledgeable about the content that you're doing. Oh shit, I'm getting comboed. You know, you have to be knowledgeable about, oh shit, can I save him? No, he's fine, he's fine. You know, you don't want to use Valiant Aria willy-nilly. You know, you don't want to use it all the time because it has a relatively long cooldown, and there are situations, you know, that are better than others. Most of the time it's Crux. Another thing, let me concentrate here, is that you have to know when to Crux and when is, you know, the best opportunity to Crux. So it's another thing. Okay. So, but this is something that's pretty generic across all the Satyrs, so I'm going to say, you know, it's not as complicated as I'm trying to make it seem here. Knowing when to Crux is just, you know, knowing when the damage phases are. I'm also doing, I don't know if you guys noticed it right there, I have a Marbus pet right now which activates my Marbus effect, which gives my party an extra 20% damage amplification. So it's something I'm doing as well. Then you'll also see I'm also basic attacking the boss up to 3 times or constantly while we're doing damage. That's because my basic attack actually causes a damage increase by debuffing the boss by reducing his elemental resistance. So there are some smaller nuances that I'm doing to increase my party's damage. Valiant Aria is one of them, you know. Attacking the boss with the basic attack is another one. And then finally, the last thing you should always be worrying about is your party's HP. I mean, this is something that all Satyrs have to worry about. Again, this is not special to this character, but this character excels really, really well at having very abusive healing type skills. You guys can see I have one right there, the Miracle Shine, that can basically chain my heals together and ensure that I can, as long as my party are lined up conveniently, I can heal up everybody pretty much to full right away. And I have a Valiant or a recovery type Aria as well, which all I have to do is, you know, be in the area and heal them like this. So, you know, and that's a pretty quick heal as well, as long as they're in the range. And then my most abusive one, honestly, is get some basic attacks off, get the Valiant Aria, also cast my Archangel's Blessing right there, which does a little bit of AoE. And with the Talisman actually gives me a little bit of a shield as well. But I'm trying to explain so many things, and this is kind of why it's so hard to record videos while I'm, you know, in the middle of party content. But you know, there's all these little things that you have to do when you play a female satyr, and any satyr in general, and it just goes to show how important this role is in the party. Trust me, if I wasn't playing this satyr like even half as effectively as I am now, we'd be having trouble, you know, with doing the content, you know. And if my gear wasn't strong enough, the buffs aren't strong enough, all of a sudden the content just gets progressively, like exponentially harder than what it is now. So it's something that, again, I'm going to remind you, I've seen some comments that are kind of damning, you know, on Reddit and stuff, where people are just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, we'll just take whatever satyr we can get, you know. But I really hope that people are taking their satyrs more seriously, because you really can, you know, if you even just paying a little bit more attention can make your runs so much more smooth. You can save runs single-handedly, that kind of stuff. So hopefully you're doing that. I'm going to give everybody an edification speed buff during this gimmick, because it is a speed-related, move speed enhanced gimmick. See right there, we had to go from north to south here, and it's much harder to do if you're a lot slower. Now this time I don't have my Marbus charged up, so I'm going to have to wait until next gimmick. But Marbus, again, like I said, is a pet feature, which is, it's not privy to just satyrs, but satyrs usually get it. They usually wear the Marbus pet because of the attack strength buff that it gives the whole party. So obviously it goes without saying that you know, whenever you have it available, you want to try to capitalize on it. I didn't give my Archangel's blessing. There you can see the Miracle Shine healing as well. Now another thing, as I was mentioning, is the silent prayer. Okay, the silent prayer is something that I like to shortcut now, or healing prayer I should say, sorry. It's whenever, you know, your teammates take some incidental damage. You guys can see their HP is not at full right now. You can use the healing prayer to recover in an AoE just a little bit of HP. Right here I'm going to cast this because this attack is not very friendly. AoE. Okay, there you go. So you've got to be able to see attacks. You got to be able to foresee that your teammates are getting hit with stuff. And then, like I was trying to show, the healing prayer is a really low cooldown, abusable, soft heal. It's not like a full heal like my Miracle Shine or the regenerative Aria, but it is a very abusive, low cooldown, and kind of incidental damage heal. You know, it's not going to heal the full, but if people are getting poked with certain attacks, you can actually top them off with the healing skill like that. So right here, I don't have any trucks or anything, so I'm just going to do the standard here with the Valiant Aria, and make sure I get those debuffs with my basic attack string. And that's really F-Satyr in a nutshell, guys. I mean, keeping everybody topped up, you know, optimizing with your buffs, you know, your rotation, using them at the right time. That's basically how F-Satyr is. That's how all satyrs are, really. But trying to focus heavily on... Gosh, I'm having a little bit of trouble this time. Just trying to focus on everybody's HP, and when things are getting rough, like when certain attacks are getting off, you can save them. Okay, another thing that I haven't really been able to show off very well, since I haven't been using it in that way, is that Uriel's Ward. Okay, this one is a very awesome skill. Okay, what it does, it essentially creates a field that is an iframe field. And anybody who's in it actually gets iframe while they're in it. Now, certain attacks will still damage you through it, as we saw earlier, but... Oh, are we able to kill? We're not. Damn it, I should have used my two-way. Anyway, certain attacks will still hit. Oh, shit. Wasn't paying attention there. There you can see the healing prayer right there. Healing, covering a little bit of HP. But yeah, you can use Uriel's Ward. It gives AoE iframe, and essentially you can use it to bypass certain one-shot gimmicks. I mean, there's some room-wide attacks that you can kind of iframe right through. So it's just something else that is kind of extremely helpful when you do, you know, this type of content, where you can like preemptively save your teammates just by, you know, casting Uriel's Ward out there, throwing it out there, and AoE healing everybody, or AoE iframing, not even healing. So they're not going to take any damage. Now having a little bit of latency. There are some other things, you know, like right there, the Purifying Lightning can cause the Retribution debuff on enemies. It's not really relevant in most content nowadays, but it can be relevant in certain raids. Like, for instance, some attacks won't hit you. Like, on the good example is when you're fighting Rosen. some attacks when he's afflicted with that debuff during the win phase, for instance, will not hit your party. So it's a really good retribution. It's something that you want to have available max level with the TP and everything to ensure that you can cast the debuff as you need it. But again, a lot of the content nowadays just doesn't have it. It's one of those, I would say it's one of those obscure things that I think all satyrs should know about, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to use it every time. But anyway, we're having like some kind of latency issue. I think somebody's desynced or something, and we only got 3 people playing right now. Okay, is he here? Didn't intentionally jump into this attack, hopefully. I can't get into it. I was trying, dude. No! Don't die, don't die, don't die. Oh, my boy has a black screen. Okay. Got my Marvis buff in, and we're going to try to do as much damage as we can. The Necro came back at the perfect time, I guess. And by now we've got all of the buffs from P-War by doing those other 2 dungeons. My Talisman right now also makes my Grand Crashing Cross here do AoE damage. Or, well, obviously it does AoE damage, but it heals as well, which is kind of nice. The Talisman system really is kind of awesome for satyrs because it can, you know, no matter what the Talisman does, I mean, it does some, you know, kind of convenience effects like healing on Grand Crashing Cross. But the important thing is it actually gives you stronger buffs. So I have like 10% stronger buffs just due to the talismans themselves. So hopefully that latency issue doesn't happen during the Inspired Throne dungeon. Anyway, guys, hopefully I was able to showcase a little bit of, you know, the importance of satyr and what satyr can do for a party. Obviously, that doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to be able to just carry people who aren't geared. The people in this party are probably a little more geared than I am. But I'm saying, you know, you really do need to put in a little bit of effort. I mean, when we talk about amplification system and getting more raw stats, satyr is the most pivotal character who can abuse that feature the most. You know, when I'm talking about, you know, just getting a stronger weapon, you know, getting a stronger buff weapon, you got to remember that buff effectiveness affects the whole party and not just yourself like it does for everybody else in the game. So, you know, your effectiveness in the party is really awesome, but don't sleep on it and don't try to take shortcuts or just try to get into parties without taking consideration onto what it takes to actually be a satyr. Okay, you have to know the content first and foremost. I really shouldn't have to explain that, but satyrs are the ones who run the show in terms of, you know, nobody's going to be doing damage unless the satyr cruxes, you know. Nobody's going to be doing damage if they notice the satyr is not cruxing. In fact, people are going to tell you, like, hey, crux, we can't play the game until you crux or whatever, you know. So, I'm going to use my mind stem that I pulled out earlier because I'm going to crux right here. The benefit of doing that is I can get back into the boss fight, or the final boss fight, a little bit faster without having to wait too long. I was going to try to iframe through this with Uriel's, but we're fighting the final boss now. Sarposa. Again, this is hard mode, so we're actually doing a pretty dang good job here. I don't know where the hell... Where's my boy here? Where's the Necro at? Is he gone? He's literally gone. This Necro, bro. You know, during this fight, for instance, I can use Valiant Aria during phases like this where, you know, it's relatively safe. He's still in the other room. How the fuck? He's still downstairs. This is just weird. Just get fucking iframe the whole time, baby. Dude, I fucking own that guy. But there, I was able to show you guys a perfect example of Uriel's ward of what you can do with it. I mean, that phase right there, essentially, if you don't have the orb, you get hit. Well, I was getting hit, but I had iframe, so I was essentially blocking perfectly fine through the attack. So that's kind of an example of how the Uriel's ward can be used. I mean, I don't know many other characters. In fact, I don't know if the other satyrs can really handle it like the F-Satyr can. So I'm going to say that's one of her main benefits as a satyr. If we want to compare her to the other satyrs, for instance, You know, she has Uriel's Ward, which I think is one of the coolest moves on Crusader. It's one of the funnest things to do to kind of like, you know, outplay the bosses. Just kind of use Uriel's Ward and iframe through something. And then she has some amazing healing. I think some of the best healing, you know, capacity to keep people topped off. And I think her resurrection is a perfect balance, you know. Where I think the Enchantress is a little overkill on the resurrection. She can just keep resurrecting people who keep getting killed. And unfortunately, I can't do that to the same extent on this character, but I think it's just enough resurrection that, you know, you can get the job done. You know, you're going to resurrect your team in a pinch. Keeping everybody, like, we're in the middle of getting hit here, and we're still, like, healing through it. I think we're going to iframe right through the grab, so our damage phase is saved by the Uriel's Ward. We also have a little bit of hold. You know, I forgot to talk about her hold. Her 1A is a hold. She also has a hoop skill, which is also a hold. By now I have my awakening back up. You know, the circlet skill is a hold. It kind of goes unpronounced because holds are not very useful, and it's not like a crazy awesome hold. All right, okay, everybody's in the boss room this time. Hopefully nobody's getting hit. And you know, here's a good tip, you know, for you guys who are playing Crusaders, is to just keep an eye on people's HP and keep an eye on, you know, whether or not people are dying. Okay, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where people are expecting you to res them or expecting you to heal them, and you're just not paying attention. You know, so a lot of the times I'm just looking at my party's HP and their buffs and seeing if everything's topped off. You know, that's kind of the thing about Crusaders is, you know, they focus. Their importance is focusing on maintaining the party's damage as well as their health. So I saw P3, P2 lag. Oh man, come on, man. He's still talking about lag? That skill. There's at least 2 skills that this character has that can essentially heal right through any damage, you know? It's crazy. I'm going to save my Valiant Aria. I think I could have it back up by the time the gimmick attack ends, but I'm just going to keep it for now. My Marbus is charged up. That's good. Like fire, fire, fire. God. Oh my god. I don't know what he's doing, man. I literally got no fucking idea. He's all the way in the top left over there dicking off. I'm gonna heal Miracle Shine through this entire attack and he'll be fine. Gotta heal him again, so probably not, you know, that's a situation where it's like a judgment call. It's like, do I use the big AoE healing skill just to heal that one guy? Might be a worse time, but I think he's fine. I don't have edification. Get out of there, dude. I could have given everybody Uriel's, but that's something that you kind of want to coordinate with your team if you want to even do Uriel's. Whew, okay. And regenerative is back. Yeah, the Grand Crassing Crash is good for a little bit of heal, but I think when you try to get the big burst of healing, it's just not as good. So, dude, what is going on, man? This whole fucking raid is laggy as shit. He's not even in the orb. Where is he going? He's still living. God, yeah. Probably not a good position to heal right there. He could do certain attacks that could punish me for using the Miracle Shine like that, but got lucky there. Fortunately, I don't think you can cancel the Miracle Shine early, so. Out and damage phase, and I think this should be game. Like I said, I don't have my Marbus available, but I think we're still good. And we are. There you go. There's a little bit of hard action. I think I'm going to have to edit that up a little bit, guys. A little bit too much lag issues. But hopefully I was able to show off. You know, I was able to demonstrate some things in this raid alone that can showcase, you know, the benefit that can be provided with this character. I mean, you can heal up people. You can keep people alive. And I truly believe you can carry raids with how well you play the character as well as how strong your gear is and stuff like that. So, Crusader, okay? Satyr, female satyr obviously in this video, but satyr in general, you know, there's a lot of things you should know about your character that you can do, and a lot of things you should know about gearing and optimizing that gear, because it's going to make your runs a whole lot easier when you have a good or a competent, I'm not going to say I'm good, but a competent satyr in your party. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. There was a little bit of female satyr action, and I will catch you nights later.